What's going on YouTube? It's Kory MacKinnon, and this is my first inaugural video to the channel. I'm starting a channel this year, and I wanted to introduce myself a little bit more and why we're doing this channel and what you can expect from me. So many people that are watching this might know me, but there might be a lot of people here that don't know me. So just super high level, a little bit about my background. So I was born in Sarnia, Ontario, which is up in Canada, and single income family. My dad worked in the plants out here, and my mom was always doing things to make some extra money here and there. But it was a little bit tough when I was growing up, and finances were definitely a real thing. I could sense the conversations at the dinner table were a little bit stressful around money. I lived in a kind of on the brink of a really preppy neighborhood. So I got to see the kids going to school in the, Kettle Creek pants and the polos and everything else. I'm 46 at the time. So I guess I'm, a child of the baby boomer generation. And, I wanted to have some of those nice things too. And my parents had the talk with me at a young age that, hey, we'll provide you with the basics, but if you want more than that, you're always gonna have to find a way to bridge the gap yourself, which is what I did. I started doing things at a young age, got a paper route in grade 4 or 5, continued that up into, grade school. And then going into high school, I've always had jobs ever since grade 9. So fortunately, I'm retired. I've been retired now because of investing in real estate. My real estate's been doing extremely well. But by the time I retired, I'd already been working for almost 20 years because I started so early. So we grew up actually in a duplex. So I got exposed to real estate at a young age, and a lot of people have read books. That was one of my gateway drugs into real estate investing, was reading some books. But even before that, before I read The Wealthy Barber or Rich Dad Poor Dad, I actually was living in a duplex. So some of my earliest memories from the first house that I can recall when I was 4 or 5 years old was there was a little old lady upstairs from us, and I think she was paying $75 a month at the time, which was super low even then. Maybe she should have been paying $150 or $200, I'm not sure. But back then, some things actually came grandfathered with the house. So her lease came grandfathered with the house along with the mortgage. So back then in the 80s, mortgages were very easy to transfer to the next owner, and interest rates were high. So I remember having my money in the bank and asking my dad, it was only a couple $100, but Dad, like, what's this $10 and $20 popping up in my bank account? He's like, that's interest, son. So it was pretty cool to get exposed to that and actually get paid on your assets when you're young. Now interest is so low, it's been clear ever since the 90s that the banks just don't want you to even know what interest is or earn it. They just want you to pay it. So those are some of my earliest recollections. Single income family, growing up in a duplex. We moved out from there, and we were always trying to keep up with the Joneses, getting a little bit of a nicer house, seeing my parents struggle a little bit more here and there. And nothing against them. Like, hey, I love my parents. They're doing the best they could with what they had at the time. And I even helped to contribute to the family. I was paying for some of my own food when I was young. I was even paying a little bit of rent. I remember at one point I loaned my dad some money, and I was getting a little bit of interest on that there too, just to help out. Bought a car off my dad, and then when my parents split up when I was 19, I actually gave the car to my mom. So I think it's important in life to always be giving back and make sure that you can not just take care of yourself, but other people even at a young age. All right, so fast forward a little bit. One of my favorite sports that I was doing as I was growing up and in high school was weightlifting. So the sport of Olympic weightlifting, when you're lifting heavy weights over your head, way before CrossFit or anything like that. Some of our first gyms that we worked out with didn't even have heating systems. Like, we were literally chopping wood and throwing it in the wood burning stove in the wintertime, heating up the bar with a propane torch. Nothing like these boxes that they have today that people can go work out in. And everybody wants their own bar, and it's got to be a brand new bar, and you want to have your own platform. There was none of that. There was like 3 or 4 of us lifting on one platform with an old bar. So when we went to a competition, it was awesome because then we got to touch the newer stuff and the level platforms and the bars that spun really good, and we just go there and kick butt and take names. So by the age of 16, 17, I started when I was 12. At that point, I was provincial level, even pushing national level. I think I went to my first junior nationals when I was 16, won a bronze medal. And from there, ended up winning a gold medal at the junior national level. And then at the senior national level, my best placing was 3rd in Canada. So I got to go to Olympic trials back in 2000, got to work with some of the best coaches in Canada. Super gracious and grateful for those experiences that I had early on. And being an athlete really taught me a lot about, how to be successful in business and real estate. So in my early 20s, I believe I just turned 20, I started working a franchise with Student Works Painting. Fantastic company. It's been around since the 80s. Student Works painting, really similar to College Pro painting as well. And I was a franchisee for the area. And what I did in my first year was I made about $12,000, $13,000 for myself, which wasn't bad, especially back in 1997. 98, I doubled that, more than doubled that, bought a sports car, did all the things that were silly that, these things were not assets, these were depreciating assets. But I moved up in the company. I got onto the district manager team, the general manager team. And at one point I was the VP of operations for half the country, which was really cool. I held that position for 12 years, did really well with their ops manuals and hiring people and HR and training, and really got to cut my teeth in a lot of different aspects of business, which was fantastic. So in total, I was there for 17 years. But in 2005, I bought my first income property when I was working at Student Works Painting for about 7 years. At that point, I was already VP of operations. And, I saw some of my other peers buying properties, either house hacking, which if you don't know what house hacking is, it's when you buy the house and you kind of rent out rooms to your roommates and you try to live for free or at least keep your costs way, way down. I saw my district manager doing that and some other, district managers in the company doing that. And I said, hey, if they can do that, I can do that too. It took me a few years I was doing it the conventional way. I thought I had to do everything myself, come up with all the down payment, all the money, find the deal. What I actually ended up doing was buying the sixplex that I was living in at the time. I was renting from a landlord in London, Ontario. Great city. If you've never been there, I highly recommend it. So I come home and one day there's a sign on my lawn. It was actually one of my franchisees that reported to me. Heather gives me a call and she says, hey, Kory, I don't know if you realize, but the property that you're living in, there's a for sale sign on the lawn. I was like, man, the owner was supposed to let me know, because for the past 3 years as I was renting, he was always dropping little hints like, hey, do you want to buy this sixplex? Here's the price today. And then the price would go up and the price would go up as I lived there for longer. But I got to learn from that landlord. I was kind of like his boots on the ground, his eyes and ears. I would do little things here and there for him, take him out to lunch, pick his brain, get to know his methodology on what he looked for in an income property. And when push came to shove and he listed the property high, was trying to catch a flyer, and the market back then was very flat. It was a flat market. I'm not even sure if it was a balanced market. Maybe it was a buyer's market at that point because appreciation was so low. Appreciation was maybe 1% a year back in the mid, early 2000s. So he came to me. We made a private deal, which was kind of cool. It had some cash back. There was a credit on closing. He fixed all the things that kept coming up on home inspection that made the deal fall apart. So my first property that I ever bought was a sixplex. So some people get started with a single family home or a duplex. I guess I went a little bit bigger. So it's kind of like the equivalent of, instead of running a 5K race for your first running race, I signed up for the marathon right out of the gates. I guess the only thing bigger would have been to buy like a legit apartment building. Learned a lot on that property. I kind of fixed up all the different things that he didn't fix, and went to the bank again and said, hey, what's the property worth now? Pulled out some money. So before the term, the BRRRR, which is when you buy something, you renovate it, you re-rent it, refinance it, and repeat. We were just doing that. That was just kind of like what you wanted to do. If you wanted to keep recycling your money and keep growing your portfolio, you just had to know to do that intuitively. So in the first couple of years, I was buying, 1 to 3 properties a year, very focused on my day job, my corporate job. And, it got to a point where, you get married, you start having kids, your life changes. And I just saw real estate having more advantages and more opportunity, something that I could really build a massive, money-making machine portfolio versus staying at the day job. And, over time, you can't put the same amount of effort into your career unless you're ignoring your kids and your wife. So at that point, I just made the decision. It was a very challenging decision because I loved the company I was working for, to move on and just do full-time real estate investing. That was back in 2013. At that point, I had a very large portfolio and I'd replaced about 75% of my income. And I wasn't afraid of quitting the day job. I just knew that, sometimes the best option is when your back is up against the wall and you have nothing else to do except to make things work. So that's a bit about my background. Single income family, was hustling at a young age, bought my income property, lived in a duplex, bought a sixplex, ran a franchise at the age of 19, 20 and stayed there for 17 years and retired by the time I was 30, 36, 37. All right, so that's a bit about me. I'm a father of 4 kids and married to a beautiful wife, Lori. Still living in Sarnia, Ontario, at least for now. All right, so you're probably asking yourself, why is this guy actually starting a channel? He's 46 years old, he's retired, he doesn't need to do this stuff anymore. You know, I've been a tutor and a teacher ever since I was very, very young. I can still remember being in grade school and having the parents of some of the other people that I was in class with approach me and just say, look, you're doing pretty well in school, because I was an A and a B student in school. In high school, I was actually an A or A+ student. I took school like a sport and just worked at it as hard as I could. But they approached me at a young age and said, look, can you tutor my son or daughter? And I said yes. And they were in subjects that I wasn't even all that strong at, so I had to learn that subject even more. So from a very young age, I've actually got over 30 years worth of teaching and mentoring experience to other people. And now people approach me to get mentored about business or real estate investing or how to live their best life in general. So that's really my mission in life, is to make sure that I can be a financial leader in this world and to love, support, and encourage other people to step up and do the same. Because what I did, everybody can do in this world. I'm no different than you or your mother or your brother or your cousin. Everybody can do what I've done. It takes a lot of focus, dedication, and the ability to execute on the right things and lay out a really good plan to be successful in life. All right, so I really want to see people suffering less, because I'm telling you, like with what's been happening the past couple of years, with all the money that's been printed, it's going to be very challenging to retire. It already was. You know, compared to our parents' generation, what it cost to buy a house and what it took to retire. I used to think, you know, it was always like, hey, if you had $1 million, you could retire and do really well. I don't think you can do that anymore. You need to have $2, $3, $4, $5 million if you just want to retire and live comfortably. If you want to have a really exceptional life and do really cool things, you may need more. So I'm here to teach you how to invest in real estate successfully and safely, and do really well and thrive. So, you know, if I buy another income property, it's going to change my life a little bit. But if you buy your first income property, that's going to change your life a lot. And hopefully it's going to spark some fire for you to just keep doing it over and over and over again, and to do it faster. You know, my one regret was I was kind of doing it slow in the beginning. I was kind of doing it like assembly line. Okay, buy this one, fix it up. Okay, think about the next one, as opposed to like, how do I go tie up 3 or 5 or 10 of these things all at once, build a team, find the money, find the deals, and just continue building and scaling really quickly. That's the way that you can grow fast. All right, so what can you expect from this channel to be able to, you know, hopefully you can squash inflation and make that money that you need. But I'm here to keep you updated on current events, mostly in Canada. However, once you have the fundamentals of real estate down, these are really universal principles that you can use all throughout the world. So if you do live in a different country, please stay tuned and make sure that you're sharing the channel with your friends, because there's gonna be lots of great things here. What else? To answer your questions that you may have about real estate, I'm going to be looking at the comments of just things that you would like to learn about. And, you know, I have a lot of great ideas. I have over 200 ideas of videos that we're going to be filming, and but I could also use your input as well. I want to inspire you to do more. I want to inspire you to do more and to live your best life. And, you know, money doesn't solve everything, but it fixes a lot of things. So if you can be a little bit more abundant in life, you'll have more options and higher level problems to go solve. To keep you updated on my portfolio, I'm still very active and wanting to be growing my portfolio. I've got some very cool projects coming online here in the next year or so. And also to highlight my students. So I work with probably, you know, at any point between 50 and 70 high ticket students that are in our Inner Circle Mastermind. And I created this channel also to give them a platform and to highlight them, right? You know, because it's a big undertaking to start a YouTube channel. I don't expect them to start their own channel right out of the gates, but I can definitely highlight them on my channel. I've been highlighted on some other people's channels in the past. So shout out to Matt McKeever and Mark Loeffler and other people that have YouTube channels or have let me been on their podcast. We're also starting a podcast this year, so you'll probably see some clips and highlights on this channel too. But I want to make this as a platform to let other people thrive and be more successful here as we move forward into such uncertain times. So that's a little bit about me, why I'm starting the channel. Currently I have over 100 doors right now. We're starting to get into development projects, conversion projects. We have a large church that we're converting into 29 apartments this year. Just went firm on a storage complex of 70 storage units that we're going to be able to put hopefully another 80 to 90 storage units on that piece of property. We also have 10 acres that we're going to be chopping up into building lots this year too. It's the land needs to be remediated, so stay tuned for all the different steps of what we need to do there. And then plus just picking up income properties too. We also do furnished rentals as well. I'm starting to transition more and more of my portfolio over to furnished rentals, short-term rentals, just so that we don't have to deal with Landlord-Tenant Act issues here in Ontario, which I believe is one of the most challenging provinces in our country, and if not in North America. So that's a little bit about my past, why I'm doing this, and what we're going to be up to this year. So please stay tuned. Make sure you turn on the notifications for this channel, hit the like button, all those different things that I'm going to have to get used to saying here. And thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, be amazing, friends.